India's Ministry of External Affairs says that it is studying the defense agreement between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan and its implications. MEA spokesperson Randhir Jaiswal stated that India will closely study the Pact's implications for its national security, regional stability and global stability. The agreement signed by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif considers an attack on either country as an aggression against both. According to reports, the Pact aims to enhance defense cooperation and joint deterrence against potential threats, reflecting the shared commitment of both nations to regional security and stability. US President Donald Trump designates Antifa as a terrorist organization and investigate its funders following the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Trump claims left-wing groups like Antifa are promoting violence, but critics argue that he's using Kirk's death to crack down on political opponents. A popular talk show that was hosted by Jimmy Kimmel has been suspended indefinitely following a public outcry over the host's on-air comments regarding the death of Charlie Kirk. Kimmel's monologues, in which he spoke about the reaction to Kirk's assassination, drew immediate condemnation from conservative figures and politicians, including President Donald Trump himself. Trump hailed the cancellation of Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show as great news for America. Following his suspension, there has been no immediate comment from Kimmel or his representatives. In a fiery Senate hearing over Trump administration's handling of the controversial Jeffrey Epstein files, FBI Chief Kash Patel agreed to personally lead an investigation into a controversial birthday card addressed to the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein after facing questions about the note's authenticity during the testimony. Hundreds of protesters gathered outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility in Burlington, Massachusetts, to voice their opposition to the growing immigration crackdown. Activists claim that ICE has detained over 2,700 individuals from January to July, marking an intensification of enforcement actions.
We'll fight for what's right. You're a huddled masses.
Three law enforcement officers were killed and two others were injured in a tragic shooting incident in Pennsylvania. The officers were responding to a domestic-related investigation when the shooting occurred. The police has confirmed that the shooter has also been killed in the incident. Authorities say there is no ongoing threat to the public and investigation is underway. King Charles and the royal family hosted a lavish banquet for US President Donald Trump and his wife Melania Trump at the Windsor Castle, rounding off his first day of the historic second state visit to Britain. The US President described the visit as one of the highest honors of his life, paying tribute to the transatlantic relationship. During his royal banquet toast, King Charles praised the special relationship between the UK and the US and hailed what he called Trump's personal commitment to seeking peace. Earlier, Trump and his wife Melania's welcome featured gun salutes, soldiers on horsebacks, and a flypast by the Red Arrows. Hundreds of protesters gathered in London's Parliament Square to express their discontent with the US President Donald Trump's state visit to Britain. Protesters expressed concerns about Trump's policies and the decision to host him. Israel's defense ministry has announced that its cutting-edge laser-based system Iron Beam has successfully completed testing and is set to be operational by the end of this year. Developed in collaboration with Elbit Systems and Rafael, Iron Beam is designed to destroy incoming missiles, mortars and drones at a fraction of the cost of traditional interceptors. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, reported that they eliminated Hussein Saifo Sharif, a senior weapons dealer in Lebanon in the area of Baalbek. According to the IDF, Sharif was involved in planning terrorist attacks from Syria against Israel, and his actions were a clear violation of the agreements between Israel and Lebanon. Explosions and bright flashes seen over the Gaza Strip as Israeli forces press on with a new ground offensive in the Gaza city. At least 16 people killed in strikes overnight across the Palestinian territory. Thousands of Israelis gathered in Jerusalem and other cities across the country to protest against the ongoing war in Gaza. Some protesters lay on the ground draped in red-stained cloths symbolizing blood and carried signs. They demanded an end to the conflict and the release of captives held in the besieged enclave. Venezuela's Interior Minister Cabello claimed the country has foiled a false flag operation by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, seizing 3,680 kilograms of cocaine and arresting 4 individuals. He alleged that one of the suspects had ties to the DEA and that the detained Venezuelans were in fact instructed to carry their national ID cards to frame the country. Cabello asserted that the DEA's intention was to target Venezuela, but the country's security forces were able to intercept the drugs and apprehend the suspects.
Jamás con 4 motores fuera de borda.
Venezuela has launched a 3-day military exercise on the island of La Orchilla in the Caribbean, involving over 2,500 troops, 12 ships, 22 aircraft and 20 small boats from the Special Naval Militia. Demonstrate sovereignty and enhance operational readiness. Cuba's Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez has urged the United Nations to intervene and stop the United States from escalating military actions in the region, particularly against Venezuela. He said that he views the U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean to counter drug cartels as a crude pretext for aggression. Rodriguez blamed U.S. sanctions for Cuba's economic struggles, including shortages, infrastructure collapse, and inflation, while the Trump administration attributes the issues to Cuba's communist system. The UN General Assembly has passed a non-binding resolution condemning the U.S. trade embargo on Cuba for 32 consecutive years. Former Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe was spotted attending an event in Colombo for the first time since his discharge from hospital on the 29th of August. He was seen engaging in a cordial conversation with SLPP Member of Parliament Namal Rajapaksa at the event. Wickremesinghe's hospitalization followed his arrest on the 22nd of August over allegations of misusing public funds for a private trip to London in September of 2023. Argentina's lower house of Congress has voted to overturn President Javier Milei's vetoes on laws that would increase funding for public universities and pediatric hospitals. The budgets had previously been reduced by President Javier Milei, known for his radical right-wing policies. This significant legislative rebuke to Milei's austerity agenda comes after tens of thousands of Argentines protested in downtown Buenos Aires, demanding more funding for education and healthcare that have been impacted by budget cuts. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro has been diagnosed with early-stage skin cancer. The diagnosis comes after Bolsonaro was convicted of attempting a coup to illegally retain power after losing the 2022 election to President Lula da Silva and was sentenced to 27 years in prison. NATO forces showcased their military prowess in Poland with the Iron Gate exercise featuring tanks, helicopters and fighter jets. The drills, part of the larger Iron Defender series, aimed to demonstrate Poland's defensive capabilities in the face of potential threats from the east. Plane maker Embraer says its Brazilian plants are operating normally despite a strike by metal workers who are demanding an 11% wage increase and other benefits, including a collective labor agreement. The union rejected the company's proposed 5.05% wage increase tied to inflation. Tensions flared along the Thailand-Cambodia border when Thai police fired tear gas and rubber bullets at Cambodian civilians in a disputed area. The clash occurred as Cambodian protesters tried to remove barbed wire fences erected by Thailand, prompting a forceful response from the Thai riot police. At least 23 Cambodians were injured, and Thai officials also sustained unspecified injuries. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has vowed to slash greenhouse gas emissions by 62 to 70% from 2005 levels over the next decade after warnings that homes and livelihoods are under threat. This commitment aims to tackle climate change and its cascading, compounding, concurrent impacts on Australia, as outlined in the recent National Climate Risk Assessment. The goal builds on the existing 2030 target of cutting emissions by 43%, lifting its sights further as the world strives to reach net zero emissions by 2050. The Republican chair of the House Select Committee on China, John Moolenaar, has raised concerns over a reported US-China framework deal to shift TikTok's American assets to US-controlled ownership, which he warned could still allow Beijing to influence the app's users. According to John Moolenaar, a US-China TikTok licensing deal may still rely on ByteDance algorithm and application, potentially allowing continued Chinese Communist Party control or influence. Recently, Reuters had reported President Trump's agreement with China would keep TikTok operating in the US by transferring its US assets to US owners from China's ByteDance. Italy's privacy watchdog Grant has temporarily suspended the use of facial recognition technology at Milan's airport pending the conclusion of a long-running data protection investigation. Facial recognition screenings at airports have raised global concerns about the potential misuse of passenger data. According to the privacy watchdog, the suspension is due to the insufficient safeguards at Line 8 to stop the use of facial recognition on passengers who had not signed up to it. Alphabet's Waymo plans to start offering autonomous cab rides in Nashville next year in collaboration with ride-hailing firm Lyft. Riders in the Music City will initially be able to hail self-driving cabs through the Waymo app. As the service grows, riders will also be able to use the Lyft app to match with a Waymo vehicle. As part of the agreement, Lyft will invest an undisclosed sum in an autonomous vehicle fleet management facility where it will charge and maintain Waymo vehicles. Google and PayPal have announced a multi-year partnership to bring AI-powered shopping and payment features to users. PayPal's payment solutions, including checkout, hyper wallet, and payouts, will be integrated across Google products like Google Cloud and Google Play. Sundar Pichai said that the partnership will enhance services, security, and user experience. Earlier, PayPal also partnered with AI startup Perplexity for early access to its Comet browser. Meta has unveiled its first consumer-ready smart glasses with a built-in display, the Meta Ray-Ban display, at its annual Connect conference. These glasses feature a small digital display in the right lens for basic tasks like displaying notifications. They also include a wristband controller for gesture commands. This marks a significant upgrade from the earlier Ray-Ban stories, which lacked a display and were primarily used for hands-free calling and music streaming. The new model integrates Meta's AI assistant, cameras, hands-free controls, and live streaming features. Gold continued the decline after falling from a new record as investors reacted to the Federal Reserve's interest rate cut and mixed policy signals. Spot gold hit a fresh high of $3,707 an ounce on Wednesday, but closed down 0.8% after Fed Chair Jerome Powell struck a less dovish tone. Gold traded between $3,660 to $3,650 in Asia, while the Bloomberg Dollar Index ticked higher. Global markets stabilized after the US Federal Reserve cut rates by 25 basis points but struck a cautious tone on future moves. US equity futures rose 0.3%, with Asia's Korea and Taiwan indices leading gains, both up around 0.7%. US single-family home construction fell sharply in August, dropping 7% to an annualized rate of 890,000, the lowest level since April 2023, as builders struggled with a glut of unsold homes. Permits for future construction also hit a two-year low, signaling more weakness ahead. Most of the decline was in the south, where overbuilding has collided with slowing job growth. The multi-family segment also slipped, dragging overall housing starts down 8.5%. Residential construction is expected to remain a drag on GDP this quarter.